Hey everyone! Thank you for taking the time to join in with Uncommon Women Podcast, a dope podcast to bring light to reality from real life people sharing real life stories with a host of women having real life talk, the good and the bad, with no judgment. Uncommon Women's Loyalty is here to support those that need a safe space to speak their truth and rawness to the world. Tune in, relax, take notes, and let's vibe. Here are your hosts, Uncommon Women.
Thank you for tuning in to Uncommon Women. I'm Shamira, and today we have a returning guest by the name of Portia Nichelle. She was actually on episode 10. Thank you so much, Portia, for coming back. Today, she'll actually be sharing her testimony and be talking about her agency called Covenant Lives. She's a woman of many hats. She's a mom, she's a wife, and she does a lot for the community. So I'm super excited for her to be on our platform today and share her testimony. How you doing, Portia?
Wow, thank you for the awesome introduction, Shamira. I'm super excited to be back here at Uncommon Women. Congratulations to you all. This has grown into something very beautiful, and I'm so proud of you guys.
Thank you. And we are super excited for having you today. So before we get into the nuggets of your testimony, can you tell us a little bit about your life and how it was growing up?
Oh, absolutely. I would say growing up for me, I'm from Coatesville, Pennsylvania, and I grew up in a community called Carver's Court. And in Carver's Court, which is town on the brink of Callan Township, it was a strong community. Everybody there, I grew up around community and what it really meant to be in community for sure. We depended on each other for things. I grew up there. I think my mom and dad moved there when I was about 4 years old, and we left there when I was like 92. I was going into the fifth grade, and I'm talking about your friends became family. We're all cousins, even to this day.
Yes.
Some people grew up on Brooks Lane. Some people was on the back side. We was on Friday Street in the front. We had Miss McGinley did my hair. My mom and dad had a candy store. They did Charlie's Chips as well. Miss Gladys made bean pies and cheesecake. I mean, there was nothing that we needed outside of the community. And we cooked out together. We played together. And I grew up strong in that way. And a lot of the elders in the community, even still today, we revere them like Miss Amanda Winky, Miss Pam Depp. It was just some really amazing, strong women, even Miss Sharon Hunt, that I could always go to outside my mom. I learned about how to be involved and engaged and advocate for justice in regards to the kids. They always were rallying together, being on top of issues that were happening in our community with the children, and I just always been involved in the community that way. So that's where I got the community sense. As far as my parents go, my mom and dad they'll be married 42 years.
Come on.
Couple weeks. And when I look back, as a kid, it's like, I used to look at all the things my mom and dad didn't provide or what they didn't do, and missed all the great things and attributes, characteristics that they did have, being young parents themselves. So now being a mother and being a wife myself today, I can look back and say, wow, like through it all, they weathered the storms and they did it together. Even when it was rough, they have a very special relationship, one that I've grown to respect, and one that I understand now. I remember when it was a challenge. May have been a year they had a challenge in the relationship and may have considered breaking apart, but they didn't. And nonetheless, I understood what it meant to truly live up to those vows, to death do us part, for better or for worse, takes on a new meaning today. So I would say growing up for me, and even in my family, I believe I had the best of both worlds. Okay. My mother's side of the family was very into the church, very much into religion. My father's side of the family, they were what they would consider, I wouldn't say even use the word worldly, but they were more independent entrepreneurs. And, so I had the best of both worlds. And it was, our family is very diverse in their beliefs and their lifestyles. So as a kid, I got to be exposed to a lot of different ways of living. And it made me, for me, I believe it's made me a more well-rounded person to be open to other people, their cultures, their language, what they eat, their lifestyle. So I appreciate my childhood today.
That's awesome. So seeing your parents, being together for over 42 years and now you being a wife, is there anything, any essentials that you see that you may want to bring into your marriage as well?
Yeah, just not quit. You know, don't quit. Just communication, right? It's honoring the covenant, not
Yes.
just as in the marriage, honoring the covenant and understanding that we made this commitment to the commitment of the commitment. No matter
Come
how
on.
hard it is, we're doing this together. And I truly believe that, and I never thought I would be married. Right? I was the child that said, "Listen, I'm gonna do it my way. This and that. It's the highway. You're gonna believe what I believe. Blah blah blah. All them things." And here I am. Right? We're celebrating 3 years together in July, and we'll be celebrating our first marriage anniversary in December. And it's
Yeah.
an amazing time. Absolutely, I truly believe that at the time of my life, when he was revealed, that for both of us, we weren't looking for relationships, but we had both made a commitment to ourselves and the way our lives were going. So when we met, it was a magnet. It was like it attracted.
God sends.
Oh, seriously. And that's how I feel. Like I look at my husband and I say, I thank God, one, for allowing me this opportunity to be able to share my life with someone that he saw fit, that I was ready, right? And then two, it's that when I look at him, understanding that he's a gift from God for me, I see him as I see God. Like God chipped off a piece of himself and said, "Here you go. You get a piece of this on earth, so you can touch me, you can hold me, you can feel me. I'm here with you." That's my belief.
That's
But
the ring. You the ring.
but it keeps me. It's keeping me, in alignment. You know what I'm saying, with my husband, because I say, man, would I treat God this way? You know what I'm saying? Like not just him as the man, but it allows me to, this is areas that I was totally oblivious to, or because the way I seen women in marriages in my family, they were always quote unquote the strong ones, and everybody worked. So every woman in my family, both sides, has always worked. Nobody was. Well, now we had a few of them that was catered to, but the majority of them I've always seen go to work. I never got an opportunity to really see them lovingly because they were always working together, working for the family, what have you. But that was something that I desired, right? I desired the affection, the holding hands and the holding and hugging. So I make sure we create that in our relationship. So taken from the covenant that they have, outside of understanding what that first relationship was for me, was me getting to know me falling in love with me putting me first, me knowing what I liked, what I loved, me knowing my boundaries. So when somebody came into my life, he didn't come to complete me. We came to add value to each other, and that's where we are today.
I love the awareness, because the awareness was your identity and you finding your significant other. We got to be aware when we're ready. And it's not what we want, it's when God knows that we're ready.
For sure.
I love that. So you spoke on something very important, the covenant of your marriage. Can you speak a little bit about how you started Covenant Lives and where that came about?
Covenant life. So covenant in my life means so much. It's a promise. It is the agreement that I made with God. God brought me through. I had a stillborn son 6 years ago, right? April 7th, 6 years ago. And unexpected, the pregnancy was unexpected one. And I was in my mind, like I would consider myself a go-getter. At that time of my life, I was very comfortable and complacent in my job. In my life, I had just purchased a home. I felt as though, as being a teen mom from 16, now owning my own home, having a very successful career, that I was cool, right? So I get the news. I'm expecting a baby. Now I'm preparing, and I was already late in my term. I was 6 months when I found out. And normally in my pregnancies, I have gestational diabetes, and I have My blood type is O negative, so I normally have to go through, a series of ROGAM shots to make sure that my body doesn't attack the fetus. And I was
Okay.
already past all of them times. Like, I don't even know how my son survived and how I was surviving after all
Mm.
the time of not addressing those issues. But I was older. The symptoms of being pregnant was different at that time. So I was really blowing a lot of stuff off and giving excuses for what I was feeling. I was feeling overtired because I worked a lot. I was I was I didn't really have an appetite, but because I was working a lot, everything was about I'm working. Nonetheless, I found out I was already 6 months. In the last few months, everything I thought was pretty normal. I was
Okay.
I'm going to the doctors twice a week, and then I went on a Tuesday. There was some concerns. I was sent over to the hospital. In about an hour, doctor comes in. They look at the belt, and then I remember the nurse saying to the doctor, what do you want to do? And he kind of looks at the belt, and he's, just saying to her, well, we're pretty busy tonight, and they didn't have time to, really address it. So he
Wow.
comes over to me, pushes on my stomach a few times, the baby roll, right? Because I don't know what they're looking at. I don't know what's going on. Nobody's really telling me. And I'm just, trusting that they're making the best decisions on my head. He comes over and once the baby rolled, he said, okay, everything looks normal. So I'm gonna send you home. If anything changes, come back. And I'm kind of like looking at him, well, what's supposed to change? Up till this point, everything seems normal. I go back on a Thursday. 2 days later, my son has no heartbeat. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. Because I had an English muffin, I had to wait 7 hours because I couldn't
Wow.
get anesthesia because I ate something, right? So I had to wait 7 hours for them to do the C-section, to take Desmond. And I mean, I was not able to get many answers to the questions that I had, unfortunately. So in the time that I had when I came home with him, after I had him, it was a series of events. But
Right.
the most important event for me was, and I was distraught. I mean, grief stricken. But in my mind, because I'm such a go getter, my mind is saying, "All right, Portia, just get back. You could just get back." You know what I mean? I can go back
Right.
to, I can get back to what I was doing, but my body was going through something physically. That my body and my head wasn't working together, and without knowing what grief is, right? Not knowing how to process what was going on because there was no follow up from the doctor's office or the nurses. Nobody called to check. And at my 6 week checkup, it was more so like a counseling session, but they still didn't answer any questions. And I'm still like bleeding heart. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I came home one day and I was laying on the couch. I went and I fell into a deep sleep. And in that deep
Mhm.
sleep, God truly revealed to me, allowed me to be in a place with my son. But in my
Mm.
dream, he was already a toddler, and I only recognized him as he ran away. Like I'm in meadow grass, right? He ran
Mhm.
away down the dirt path, and I followed him because there was a man calling his name down the dirt road. And
Wow.
when I got closer, I realized it was my grandfather.
Mhm.
Had passed just a few weeks before my son died, and he had said to me on his bed as he was passing, he said that he was going on a journey, and I'm like, well, Grandpa, can I come with you? And he's like, no, girl, because where I'm going, you can't go. He said, I gotta go take care of the baby. Nobody knew what baby he was talking about
Wow. Wow.
until my son passed, and I had that dream. And when I tell you, it had been like
Ooh, that gives me goosebumps.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It had been a few weeks since, he had passed, and I needed that because when I tell you I was deep, dark, in a place, like I felt like I didn't need to be here no more. I felt like if God did anything, allow me to become a mother was like the greatest thing for me. I thought I was a great mom. And to have had this happen so close, I was 2 weeks to my due date. They could have actually took him, me being high risk, and I found that out after the fact. But nonetheless, they didn't. And I said, man, God took me. I was like, why'd you take me? You know what I'm saying? Why'd you let me go
Mhm.
this far? Why'd you let me get this long?
Right.
I had all kind of questions. And but my belief was that, what kept coming to me was you'll never put more on me than I could bear.
Handle. Mm-hmm.
Right? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I ain't trying to hear this right now. I'm not trying to hear this. Like, you can't explain this. You can't explain, all this, all the baby, gifts that I took. Because I was a week before I had the baby shower.
Wow.
This here, I was prepared. Like, I'm gonna be honest, because we uncommon women. At 30 something years old, 36, 35, somewhere around there, I was not ready to have another baby that late in life. And the relationship I was in, we had already broken up, and I was like, God, here we go again. I'm not trying to be nobody's baby.
Right.
I'm being honest.
Cycle again. Right.
I was so tired of it, but at the same time, I said, but at this time, I do have my own home. I do have a stable job. I can afford to have this child. I have time to be with this child. And at the end, I was accepting.
You came in agreement to it.
An agreement, right? I was going to do what I had to do. But I'm going to tell you something that was eerie for me at that time. And I believe that I was getting prepared for what was going to happen, because when I had my other children, I could get visions of their future, right? I could see doing things with them, planning, school trips and doing all that. And I remember I had Desmond's ultrasound picture sitting below my TV. And I happened to look at it, and I was like, ooh, I wasn't getting nothing. I didn't get any vision of him being older, or I wasn't getting anything. And I ignored that. That night. And that night I was having what they consider Braxton Hicks contractions, but I can handle it. The pain wasn't that excruciating that I need to go to the hospital. So I went and slept through the night. And but I remember that, after I lost him, I was like, Dad, and I was thinking to myself, did I think him to be pissed? Or was it my thoughts? All this stuff is going in your head.
Yeah, you start thinking about everything else.
All stuff. So I just said, man, but I'm going to tell you, after I had that dream about Desmond, with my grandfather, I was able to wake up, right? And the tears was rolling, but I felt at peace. I felt at ease, because as God kept telling me, he said, I'm going to keep my promise to you. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't take him. God said, this is how God talking to me, right? He's telling me, listen, I didn't take him from you, right? I'm giving you something. And it makes me feel like I'm taking something from you. And I'm going to let you have your time. So at this time, I say God, the Father. But at this time, I'm going to tell you, God took on many roles for me. He was the nurturer. I felt like he was, my mom at times. I felt like he was my dad. I felt like he was my best friend as I'm going through the different stages, right? So another dream that came, and God spoke clear to me, and he said, covenant lives, right? Covenant lives. Covenant lives is going to be my pathway to help other people who have my experience. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm grieving. I don't want to do nothing for you. I'm mad at you. You took something from me. And I thought you loved me. This me and God. I'm talking to God for real. He my friend now.
You're a little resentful right now.
You're not telling me what I want to know. So I had it took some time for me, right? When I had went back to work, I had to go back to work less than 30 days, because it was around 30 days. I had the mortgage to pay. I had bills to pay, right? And I couldn't afford to fall behind. So I wasn't ready mentally, emotionally, physically to go back to work. But I did, and I was very transparent with the director at that time, and I explained to them how I was feeling. I couldn't guarantee how long I was going to be there, but I would be there enough to do the job that they need me to do, and then I would probably have to move on. And that's what started my acceptance and understanding of how I'm going to move forward, how I was going to find my strength and resilience to move forward, because like you said, I was very involved in my community, but I had nothing for nobody. You know what I mean? I was empty, and it felt like I became a ghost, right? Because nobody saw me. I didn't really come out in public. Some people knew I was pregnant. Some people didn't. Some people who didn't know I lost the baby. And it was just, it got real weird at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't falter on what my assignment became, right? So God made it very clear And what I do is I wrote it down. So like I got a big sticky note, put it on the wall, and as the visions were coming to me, I was writing them down. So I wrote lines down in a circle on the paper. And outside of that, I made the web lines. So outside of it was all the other components of what was supposed to be encompassed in Covenant Lives. And I had to make a promise that I was going to accept the assignment. And once I accepted the assignment, it was that trust. So when I was coming up on, coming through and coming to acceptance, it was okay, God. You know what I mean? You said to cast my cares upon you, lay it at the altar. You said you're going to handle it. This is my rock bottom.
Right.
I don't have nothing else. If this is what you needed to do to get my attention, here I am. What you gonna do? I'm gonna do what you say. I'm gonna go where you say go. Whether I'm comfortable about it, whether it makes sense to me, I'm trusting in your greater plan that you have for somebody else. So Covenant Lives was birthed because it was an assignment I had to accept, not one that I chose. I said, well, Dad, in order for me to help these people, did I really have to have the experience? And I'm gonna be honest with you, yes. Because I remember another thing. When I was leaving the hospital, I was in there kicking and screaming, all kinds of stuff, right? They didn't know what to do with me. But when they was wheeling me out, there was a nurse as I was passing her. She says, I know you're gonna be back one day. I ain't paying this woman no mind. I ain't paying y'all.
Right.
And there was 5 other women who had a stillborn that day. Same day I was there. Not even paying that no mind. I'm being selfish. I'm worried about me. So here we are 6 years later, right? And because my yes was my yes, my commitment to God and his promise and what he asked me to do, right? On his behalf, I'm a servant, right? On the front line. There's so much growth that has happened with me internally. I'm not who I was 6 years ago. I'm definitely more stronger, more confident, because there's work that I'm doing not for me, but for God. And I'm grateful. My gratitude is thank you for using me as a chosen person, right? Because all I did was how it started. I put Desmond's picture on a shirt, and if anybody's seen my son, he just looked like he was asleep, right? So a lady came to me and she says, oh, your baby's so adorable. And I said, thank you. His name is Desmond. I got an opportunity to say his name. So now somebody else knows who he was and he exists. I validated his life. So then I got an opportunity to share his story. So in sharing his story, this woman was open to share her story.
Wow.
30 years prior. She said, wow. She said 30 years ago, I wasn't even able to see my child that had passed. They didn't bring the child into the room. That was something taboo. They didn't do that. So she never knew what her child looked like. She didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. And in that moment, she was holding that for 30 years. 30 years. And I said, wow. Like, I'm saying to myself, like, wow. Like, but it was becoming relevant. And I was getting a deeper understanding of what I've been called to do. Why me? Right? God, why me? Why do I have to be a voice? Like,
why you gotta be a voice? I was just about to say that.
And then I said, all right, Portia, why not you? You know what I mean? I come from a place of a lived experience, but I really had to walk and talk this thing out. Like, I didn't go to a therapist because I haven't had good history in the past. But when I say me and God truly was walking hand in hand, it's like, all right, what's the next play? I completed this task. What's the next play? All right, run the next play. But I already had it written out. Like, if somebody was to say, what was your 10-year plan? The web of Covenant Lives was that 10-year plan. And in the past year, because we actually launched the nonprofit last October, we did a candlelight ceremony during Pregnancy Loss Awareness Month. But even the date was given to me. I was supposed to do Pregnancy Loss Awareness Month. I was just obedient to what I was supposed to do, who I was supposed to talk to. I've reached out to people that I would have never reached out to. God spoke a name. I've learned to go say the thing.
And they confirm it. Come on.
It ain't for me if you understand it now. It's not for me if you say no. All I know is this is what I'm supposed to do. So, and even in that being said, like it's been so many people who either reached out, even covenant conversations. We go live on Instagram now, once a week on Wednesdays, and it's a fluid conversation with people with lived experience. And if it's not that they have a lived experience, it's somebody in the professional sector that can add value to be a resource for the families and what they need. It's been a journey, right? It's been a journey. Me and my children had to learn how to communicate. And when you say, how the covenant lives come about, I said all that to say this. It's what my family needed in that time. Covenant lives was birthed because I needed it to heal, and I needed it to have a way to communicate with my kids, because I felt in that depression when I had the suicidal feelings that I was like, what value did I have if I couldn't carry life to term? Like, what's wrong with me? Was it something that I did in my past I'm being punished for? You have all these thoughts going on.
Right.
I understand when people get to a place in their mind when they don't feel like they need to be here anymore, or they just want to give up because the heaviness and the weight that it puts on you, it's like, yo, it's too much. My kids are better off without me. Like I start thinking about all the wrong stuff I've done. But then God started revealing to me the things that were yet to come, the things I've already championed and overcome. And then he started building that confidence step by step. You know what I mean? So that was my therapist. That's my therapist. I was grateful to be connected to an amazing church family, the Church of the Overcomer. And I'm trying to tell you, when he puts the people in the place, it'd be perfect alignment at the right time. I was introduced to that church by an organization called the Testimony Project.
Come on.
They came to film my testimony, and I thought I was just helping a friend out. And they said, well, you can talk about whatever you want to. And that was the first time I publicly shared my testimony about having a stillborn and that whole experience. And now I'm just thinking I'm sharing. And then, they did a public viewing of the episode.
Wow.
It had been 2 years since we had filmed it. And I was watching myself and I'm like, well, I'm crying because I'm like, 2 years ago, I remember where I was 2 years ago. And to see where I had came just 2 years later by being obedient, by staying on assignment, I'm like, I got to see the promise. You know what I'm saying? I could look at how the puzzle pieces were being put together by looking back in the past. It's the only way you do that, right? So I'm thanking God. You chose me. Thank you. You know what I mean? Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for allowing me to still have life. Now, I opted to have my tubes tied because I never wanted to experience that again. And I really wasn't educated on making that decision, but that's the only thing that I knew would be terminal. But had I been able to do things a little different, make some other decisions, I wouldn't have chosen to do that because you can't go back. So,
right.
So nonetheless, we moved past that as well. So I've been grateful to meet some amazing people, and I'm still yet to meet some more amazing people. And I'm grateful that the relationships that I have maintained throughout all of this are strong, even stronger now. I will tell you that losing yourself, not losing yourself, coming into anew, like we all evolve in life, we should, right? I shouldn't be the same person I was 6 years ago.
Yes.
I've always thought self-development, right? So it's like every step of the way, God gives me a next piece. Like now, I'm making a new map because now everything on that old map was completed.
Already completed, right?
So now I have to go into the next. I have to draw out what it's going to look like next. So I have to take time to meditate, to go in prayer, and to be present, to be able to receive the next instructions. Because my mind has been blown. It's like, man, if this was this easy, why didn't we do it a time ago? But it'd be the right time.
The violence.
Yeah, I've been vulnerable. I've been humble. I've been stripped completely of who I thought I was, what I used to do, things I no longer do, and God, it's still work being done on me. I ain't perfect. Don't claim to be.
Right.
Don't, not me. Don't put that on me. But I definitely am a believer that there's something out there greater than me, right? And I choose to believe in God, because I feel like I want to live believing that there's a God and die and find out that there's not, than rather live believing that there's not a God or something other than me, and I die and I find out that there is. That's my philosophy. That's mine. That's how I'm choosing to live my life. And then just being grateful, showing gratitude, loving on people, even when I feel like they done me wrong. I've been able to, in this process, my one thing I didn't share was the challenges I had with my mom. I think all young girls at some point in time, the relationship between you and your mom, not everybody, but I know it was for me, it gets challenging, right? And there's things I'm like, oh, my mom should have told me, or I should have knew, or vice versa. But I had to give my mom grace. Now that I'm understand, she did the best she could with what she had.
What she knew.
And I turned out just fine, because what she couldn't do, there was other women in my family or other women in my community that collectively
God provided it.
Produced this right here. And God kept me through the whole time for a purpose. So today I'm able to, I remember I was going to get married, and my mom, she wasn't able to attend my wedding, but there was some things happening between us, like lack of communication, assumptions of how people feel, and I wanted her there. So I remember I went to her house a few days before, just to sit with her and just air it, because at that point in time I said, I'm getting ready to come into something new, right?
Yes.
And I don't keep holding on to this. So I sat down with my mom, as uncomfortable as that was for me, and I was prepared that if it didn't go my way, I was just ready to move on from there. You know what I mean? So we had the conversation. I told my mom, I said, I want to be intentional with the relationship. It's going to be rough. And I understand it. I said, but if you're willing to be intentional, I'm willing to be intentional. But if you're not, I'm okay with it. You know what I'm saying? And because I have a daughter, and I didn't want to continue that on with my child. So it's important to me. I said to my mom, I think one of the most powerful things I said to my mom was, I see you as a woman today, not just as my mom. I see you as a woman today. And who are you? Outside of being the wife, outside of being the mother, outside of being the sister, outside of being the friend, who are you? You've been raising kids since you was 14.
Wow.
My mom is going to be 60 in October.
Wow.
That's a long time. Always putting people before you. So who are you? What do you like? What do you want to do? I want you to do those things.
That's bold, girl.
Like that, because I'm saying that's freeing me. Because now I can sit in front of my mom without those feelings of just it's just nastiness, right? But I felt bold because I'm like, today you meet me as the woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not the teenage girl who gave you hate. I'm not her. I've grown up. I've matured. My mouth used to be vicious. I could cut you with a knife with this tongue.
Right.
And I flashed it because the anger was in there. Like, my mom left the family for about a year when I was 13. I'm just turning a leaf. I'm just coming into teenage years.
In a new teenage stage. You felt like you needed her.
Right. And I did. Right. But I know now what she was going through. So I give my mom grace. Right. I give her, who am I to continue to hold her to her past and what she did or didn't do? Like, that's not even fair. So I had to come to that part of my life where it's like, Portia, you still gotta be the bigger person. I'm bigger the bigger person. I've grown. God showed me some things, and I love my mom, right? I love her dearly, and do anything for her. And I wouldn't want to be on this earth without her. And I said to her, we left it like that. A few days later, She sent me a text in the morning, checking on me. We started from there. She invited me out to lunch. We went out to dinner. We had conversations, and it was just like we're not gonna keep going back in the past because we're today.
This one, man. Mm-hmm.
Today moving forward, and that was one of the greatest things I was grateful for because I said, if nothing else, God, thank you for reconciliation because you forgive me. You know what I'm saying? You forgive me, so I'm happy to extend that same grace to my mom. She's human. So I'm grateful that we have that opportunity to reconnect now today. And Covenant Lives is going into its next phase. I'm grateful that, like I said, we had the live conversations on Wednesday nights, which is now going into a podcast. It's going to be turned into a podcast. So I'm leaving for expertise. Amen. God bless. As we go into that, and in October, I submitted a proclamation to the city of Coatesville, and I'm looking to partner with the BWCCA, which is the Black Women of Chester County in Action, MCC, which is Maternal Child Health Consortium, and a few the Women of the NAACP. And I'm looking to partner with other organizations that, we can make this a community effort to awareness to pregnancy loss, and efforts to, prevent unfavorable outcomes in labor and delivery. So I'm not even going to say it's an epidemic or it's a pandemic with Black maternal health, but it is. We're 3 to 4 more times to have an outcome versus our counterparts. So there's an effort being made as well. This will be the first time I publicly get to present Covenant Lives to our community on Monday at 8 o'clock, right? And it's hosted by the BWCCA and State Representative K. Williams. And I am looking forward to that because it's part of the plan. Like, it's been part of the vision. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it just to share how we offer support to families as providing advocacy, resource, and referral as an agency, but partnering with other agencies that are doing things well and are really helping people through the grieving process or whatever part that they can play, that we're all working together. I don't claim to be the all of all and have it all. Like, that's not it. God gave me the vision for Covenant Lives, but I also know that it's an agency. So in that being said, we are looking to bring the right people on to sit in the right seats so it can grow with the vision. The vision is for it to be global, all over the world. And that's going to happen.
Speak it to existence.
Absolutely. So we have, I'm grateful today. I'm grateful today. I'm grateful that people know my son existed. I'm grateful that people, they comment on Instagram, praying for you, my condolences. And now, like I say, Covenant Lives, in Covenant Lives, we honor infinite love. It's not something that goes away that you don't think about, but if we come together, then we're able to not only just support one another, but really find ways where, like I help my family's not going to help another family. That family bring people into the fold. We have a private Facebook group just for bereaved families who've lost their children. We provided a safe space where we can have conversations, we can talk, we can add value, we can love on each other and support one another. Because it's not easy, because of the stereotype and the stigma. So pregnancy loss, and it don't matter. It don't matter if you had an abortion, had a miscarriage, if you was a single mom, if you got multiple baby dads. Your experience was your experience.
Safe space. I like that.
Right, safe space. So that's how we're growing. We're growing in community. We're growing in number. We're growing in experience and value. I do have a vision to actually have a home where it's the Covenant Lives house where people can come for 8 weeks and just deframe, right? The family can rebuild together, love on one another, learn how to navigate the process, know how to identify when another family member may be, a compromising situation where you can step in. Like, I'm a certified mental health first aider, and that's critical and key because I can identify, if it's gone too long, if you've been depressed a little too long, you might need to reach out to, a professional. Or you might need services. And I know for me, it's like, when you go through it, you can already pinpoint, but there are so many resources out here that people don't know, people don't have access to, and that's where we come in. We're in navigation. So, and that's why it's important to know the resources that are in your community, because you can connect the dots. And I've been blessed to know quite a few people in this county, quite a few people in surrounding counties that have been addressing this issue, and be able to pick up a phone and say, hey,
Yes.
what we need, where can they go if they need housing, if they need food, if they need financial help, like who's available and how can we.
I love that. I love that. Looking back at everything as a whole in your life, what has been the most memorable moment of it all?
Learning to let go. That I don't have to be in control. Learning to let go. Knowing how to truly forgive. And how freeing and liberating it was when I did it for the first time.
Yeah, I think once you let go, you actually are releasing it for yourself, not the other person, because the peace falls apart.
Yeah, but I don't have to carry it. Like truly know that I can tap God in at any given moment when it gets too heavy. That's His job.
Right.
I'm liberated in knowing somebody else is going to fight them battles for me.
Come on.
So it was the relationship. Truly understanding what that relationship is, how it works to my benefit. But it's a give and give relationship.
Right. There we go.
So that's it. That was understanding that I have something greater than me that I know is right here, that I know I have access to. When it gets too heavy, I'm tapping in. Like I tell people, it's like being in the ring of life, right? I'm fighting all kind of opposition in that ring. Your job, your family, relationships, all kind of negative, self-defeat and stuff, all of that. I'm fighting it. But God ain't never told me that was my job. He said, cast your cares upon me. Leave it at the altar. So God's like my coach in the corner. He throwing scriptures. He's saying all these things to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, God, I got you. But let me just throw this.
Yeah, right.
And the whole time, like, I'm getting whipped up on, right? Life will break you down until all I got is enough energy to crawl over to that corner, lift up a finger, just a tip. God tap in, and He come in and annihilate. He annihilates the enemy. That's all He asked me to do. Never asked me to carry it. He said, I got you. So I've learned to tap in. I
love that. And I think it's very important that people understand it's more than just knowing about God. It's about knowing the relationship. Who likes a person that only calls you when you need something? They need something.
Come on.
You got to be able to have that relationship where you're spending time with God so that you're able to understand when it's your voice versus His voice, and when it's His time to actually leave when you really need help. So I love that.
Yeah, and it's because I've been there too. I've been there where you walking with God, but then you get a little cocky confident. And it's about you. It's like, oh, I did this. Or when people's saying you, and you take a step back and it's like, no, let me proclaim God, because He told me I don't want the credit. Give the credit where it's due, please.
Come on.
Continue to be blessed. God bless. Thank you. But at the same time, it's like, it's it happens. You know what I'm saying? Like your flesh, like we're human. We're human. But to know the relationship, you'll check yourself. Right? Or you'll check in. Is this what you want me to do?
Come on.
And you got wait for an answer. That used to be hard. Until I was tired of hard. And I didn't just go right in. I didn't jump all in. Like I tried some stuff. It worked. I tried, and I would go back. I try something else.
He said,
"Go back.
Go back. Start over."
Or feeling like I was out of God's grace. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you've experienced, if anybody who's watching a replay or whatever has ever experienced feeling like you done a little too much, right? And it's like, oh God, you like God's like, all right, I'm gonna leave you alone for a while. I want you to feel what it feels like to be without me. And nothing goes right. Nothing goes right. Climbing out of that hole to get back in grace. Even though grace has always been extended, but it's the feeling of
the acknowledgement, you know.
And we have to go through those times in life. Like my pastor talks about being in the wilderness and what that means when you're in the wilderness or in the different seasons, you know, of your life, and what God's really doing in that time. Like, you're never alone. You're never alone. But it's sometimes that you have to walk. You have to walk and go through some things. You got to grow through some things to get to the next level, for God to be able to truly use you how He's designed us to be. Because if everything went your way, like, what value would that be?
What would you, right? Mm-hmm.
If you wasn't tested and tried for battle, or just tried, you know, to understand, like, or to make you stronger. Like, I appreciate the growth.
We go through stuff to make us stronger. That's right.
Yeah, and you make it through. Like, that be the hope. Just knowing hold on. Like, you're not in it by yourself. You're gonna put people in your place. They're gonna drop a word. They're gonna, like, for instance, yesterday I was at work all day. I didn't eat, nothing like that. But one of the aides on my bus came up to my bus early that morning. He made dinner last night. Gave me a whole plate.
Come on.
I said, God, be looking out, because I said, I'm not gonna be here all day. I got time to go get nothing to eat. I'm gonna just be here on this bus. And that was proof to me and confirmation that He hear you.
He hear you.
Always make a way, bro. Even with my kids. So I'm an uncommon woman. I got some uncommon kids. But in this journey in parenthood, Shanira, it's me letting go, giving them back to God, because the transitions that they're all having as young adults, watching it, and I can't be there for everybody. Like I told you, my daughter tonight, she's in a crisis right now, but I'm on this live, and I could have said, you know what, Shanira, it's not a good time. I gotta go see my daughter. But I took those few seconds for me and God to have a conversation, to step in there and let her know that I acknowledged her, that I understand what she's going through at this moment, and that I'm right across the hall, and I'm gonna be right there when I'm done. But this is her moment of reflection. And I had to get that from God. It's like, no, you're not going to run. I got her. You know what I'm saying? She my daughter too.
Right.
I got her in this moment. Go handle your business. Okay. And that's how we. But I have to be that example for them now. Like, they've grown up with me just like I grew up with my parents. They were young parents. I was a young parent with my kids. We grew up together. You know what I mean? That's my rider. Savannah's my rider. And I'm going to be there for her like she's been there for me, right? And but showing her that even in the midst of that, like, you may think you lost your car broke down, you don't have no car no more. You going to get another one?
Right. You got your life.
Right. It's going to be revealed to you. Just pay attention. Been there. So I'm grateful that the wisdom, right? I lived long enough to have some of that. That I'm applying it, because I know that there's nothing I can say or do that's going to, it add value to their life, but there's nothing that I can say or do except for letting her know that you got to lean on, and tap in to the source.
The source. There we go. The plug. That's my plug.
Come on. Okay. All right. So, yeah, that's where we at today. That's where we at today.
So if you could give advice to a woman that had experienced what you went through, or even their family, what would it be?
For the woman, I would say
even men, because men go through it too. I think a lot of people forget about the men during that process, but men grieve too. Absolutely,
they sure do. They do it different. Their outlet is different. But nonetheless, it is very much the same. It's important. So to the woman, don't beat yourself up, sis. Like, you having an experience, and the grief The grief you're going to feel is natural. It's a natural process of life. We will lose things, right? The only way in her position is going to be unique in what you experience. There's going to be people around you who may offer a kind word of condolences. They've been there, they understand what you're going through. And they're not going to really understand what you're going through because your situation is unique. But understand that if people say things that seem mean, because they don't know no better. We're trying to educate them. We're attempting to educate them to know what to say, how to say. Don't allow yourself to be alone. Have somebody in your corner of support, even if they're just sitting there in silence. Be able to communicate what it is that you need from people, if you can. That you will get through this, for sure. It may feel like you're not. I promise. It will feel like the end of the world. It may feel like you're not worthy. But whatever those things is, I would say my key thing for her, I would say is to, if you can't do anything else, if you can get in a silent place and learn how to communicate with God or communicate with or meditate, right? Because you need somewhere with someone you can release that. You can journal, write it down. Write down the dark days, write down the happy days, but tell your story the only way you're going to be able to tell it for the next woman who you may come across. Either she can pick it up and read it, you know what I'm saying? Or you then become that beacon who shares their testimony to help heal somebody else as they go through the process. For the husband, for the man, I would say, give her grace as well. Not to internalize what went wrong, who's to blame, right? Because men tend to express their feelings of their grief in anger. It comes out in aggression. Women receive that different. Women don't understand that man's position is to make sure she's okay, not worry about. And he feels as though, this was his legacy. These were hopes and dreams that he had as well. You carried the baby, but he also had a vision for that child's life as well. Find the things that you guys have in common in the situation. And be honest if you need time and you don't want to talk. But do agree to be able to come together at some point in time. And if you need counseling, get it. If you need it, get it. And that's, agree to disagree when you can. But find that time where you guys can come together. And if you have other children, be open and honest. Allow them the space to say how they feel, even if you don't have the answers. Just allow them the opportunity to say what that experience meant to them as well. And any other family members, connected grandparents who was also, looking forward to, the new life. Just invite them in and have that open conversation as a family. The more you communicate, the greater your chances are growing stronger together and still staying united. Because an experience like this could really tear a family apart. For sure.
I love that you said that, bring the family together, because a lot of people forget, like, after the motions, a week or 2 weeks after everything happened, sometimes everyone forgets about what actually happened. So I think unity with the family is very important, and just those check-ins from time to time with the parents is important, during that grief as well. Okay. So for people that need the resources with the Covenant Live agency, how can they reach out to you?
So they can visit the website. There's a chat box on there as well. They can leave their email, their phone number. We'll reach out to them. There is a form on there that just evaluates where they are in their process. If they're supporting someone in the process and they're looking for information, we have a whole resource tab on our website. There's other organizations that are on there. There's information for dads. There's national information. Like I have an amazing partnership with Star Legacy Foundation, and they provide trainings, counseling online that are very helpful. Chester County has an amazing mental health first aiders program. It's one I'm certified in at no cost. And it really allows you to help even for yourself. Like it helped. I had first got certified because I needed to understand what was going on with me and know the triggers and what was going on. So I encourage people to, at least in your family, have at least one person who is certified, not just in CPR, but also mental health first aid. Because since the crisis we had a few years ago in 2019, when we were forced to be in our homes, right, without human connection, outside of the people that was in our houses, what that to someone internalized and mentally. So to be able to acknowledge and be able to give attention to when someone is not themselves and what that means. It doesn't mean that they're crazy. They may just be going through something emotionally, but don't know how to express or communicate that. So questions to kind of like gauge them to see where they're at in their mind or what they're feeling can maybe save somebody's life.
Love that. So yes, for those that's listening on November's, please visit her website at awesomefeminine.com and you'll be notified all that information that she just provided to you. Do you have anything else going on for the community or anything that's coming up?
Oh yeah, so next week, like I said, because the spirituality was a big part of my healing process. I was asked to lead the women's group at my church, and we are having for the past 12 months. Yep, it is Chosen Vessels Women's Ministry of the Church of the Overcomer. We just completed a 12-month series of self-care entitled "A Woman for All Seasons," and we are celebrating those who have graduated from their first 12 months. And this is open to the public. This program is open to the public. We're moving into our next season. Yep, they can get tickets for that event. And I will tell you tonight, if you click that Eventbrite and you find us for this event, the ticket price has been waived. It has been waived up until next Thursday. Okay, so you can get your tickets for free right now. And I asked
you to get those tickets.
Right. Get your tickets. You're going to see 12 women. Well, not 12 women. You're going to see women of the program who've been very successful in their transformation. Some have started businesses, some have started their own ministries, some are growing their ministries and their business. But in the past 12 months, what we've been able to do together is break that stigma that women can't get together and be successful. And these are amazing women. These are women who are already in leadership positions, personally and professionally, and we're going to the next level. So if you come out next Saturday, you will truly be blessed. Come out and support the women who are being honored. Shanira is one. So if you're on here, you're part of the community. You definitely want to come out and just celebrate with us, honoring her and awarding her for the many great things that she's accomplished over the past 12 months. And then what we're looking forward to, our next group, the next 12 months are elite women, equipping leaders that are inspiring transformational excellence. It's going to be
Come on, elite.
Definitely be in the room. We look forward to seeing you there. Man, it's just been, thank you for this tonight, Shannon.
It was amazing. And like she said, I'm such honored to be one of the women that's going to be getting a recognition. Chosen Vessels is so dope. And I love how Portia just puts these workshops together so that we can fellowship with each other and I get to be vulnerable and speak to other women that's going through things and we can pray with them. And it's just a good time because it's hard for women to get together and be positive. Like, there's so much negativity. There's so much judgmental things going on. There's so much comparison. But the women's workshop that she had together is amazing. It's peaceful and it brings light to the world that we can come together as women and honor each other and love on each other and be transparent. So yeah, make sure you come out next week. And it's Mother's Day weekend, so bring your mom, bring your aunties, come out to support. What do you have the address off the top of your head?
Yep.
I don't think it's in the flyer.
Yep. The address is 1016 Sunset Street in Trainer, PA. Zip code is 19061. It is the Church of the Overcomer. And we have an amazing day set out. I'm not going to give you all the details because
you can't give them the details. They need to
know. An amazing spread that's going to be presented for the women. You're going to be served, you know what I'm saying, your dinner. Well, your brunch, because it's from 12 to 3. And I'm looking forward to that. It's being decorated. You coming, girl. Y'all better be in the room. And we have an amazing keynote speaker.
There we go.
And I'm telling you, she's going to be speaking from operating from your zone of genius.
Come on.
You're going to be in the room. I'm talking about, like I said, none other Chiny Carol. This is my dear friend. And I've already been a witness to her speech, and I'm telling you, it's going to transform your life. You're never going to look at the word genius the same again when she breaks it down. So definitely be in the room, like you said. Bring a friend, 2 or 10. Don't be shy.
Come on, we gotta fill the room. We gotta fill the room, guys. Make sure you bring everybody that you know.
If you don't have anything planned for Mother's Day, trust me, you're going to get a meal. You're going to get entertained. You're going to get some free giveaways. Bring your mom on out. Come on down. We love to have you there.
Yes, I'm super excited. So before we close out for this evening, and I know you answered it, I should have recorded it from season 10, what you said, but I didn't.
Y'all was season 10.
Episode 10, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So now that time has changed because it's been, 4 years since you've been on the show. Time has definitely changed. We've arrived. You already said you've arrived in life. What makes you uncommon now?
Oh, what makes me uncommon? Uncommon. I'm uniquely me, but what makes me uncommon is that I have that fierce tenacity of never giving up, not quitting. I see opportunity for every woman to be able to be the best that she can be. I have a gifting to be able to bring that out of people. If you come on with me, no matter what platform you come on with me, my goal, if you share your goal with me, my goal is to help you reach that goal. I'm your accountability person for life. I'm texting you. You can be mad. They're going to be mad at me. I tell a lot of my clients that work with me, you're not going to like me all the time, right? Because I'm your conscience. I'm your accountability. I'm the one that's showing up at your job. I'm the one that's showing up if you at the gym. If you haven't tapped in, I'm checking in where you at with your goals. They're not completed. Listen, I'm that nagging person because you made a commitment to yourself.
You need it.
You signed on with me to be that for you. So when I used to work at Harcum, the students, to get them through 3 years, adult students, right? It was rough because people think life happens. Life does what it's supposed to do. But my job was to keep you committed to your why until you graduate. So Harcum now has over 180 students graduated from Coastville.
Come on.
They're graduating the next class on the 20th. They're graduating on the 13th, but we'll have a ceremony for them in Coatesville. And I'm just, to be an alum, and it's still one of the last person that I recruited is graduating this next weekend. That's big for me. So I want to make sure I'm there to support them. And it's doing amazing things. So when you get to see what you created still living on, that's dope, man. That's dope. So that's what makes me uncommon. I don't give up.
I love it. So Portia is your accountability guru. Okay.
I like that.
Thank you so much, Portia. It's such an honor to have you on. And you are truly a dear friend to me personally. But I just love the change that I've seen. I know you said you were 14 to now, but we ain't gonna get into it.
Not this show.
That's another show. Let's check and see if we have any comments or questions here before we close out. All right, we're good to go. So thank you for sharing your story, especially touching on your testimony and a touching story about Justin. But he's such blessed to have a wonderful mom like you. and he's looking down on you as well as your grandfather. Thank you for the viewers that came out today and listened to Portia talk about covenant lies and testimony. Be sure to check us out next week. We'll be here Thursday at 7 p.m. for another segment. And then we also have Motivational Mondays on Instagram. Be sure to check that out on Uncommon Women Podcast with one of our co-hosts, Tyra, where she drops some tools and nuggets in regards to motivating everyone for Monday and the week to come. Also, if you're interested in being a speaker on Uncommon Women, be sure to email us at uncommonwomenpodcast@gmail.com and be reminded to be your authentic self. Thank you so much for tuning in, and remember to stay uncommon.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you've been shacking up with us for a while and haven't subscribed to our channel, what are you waiting for? Please like and subscribe to Uncommon Woman so you won't miss another episode. And remember, don't let anything or anyone affect your peace. Good vibes and stay uncommon.